Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. LaMia Flight 2933. LaMia Flight 2933 was a charter flight of an Avro RJ85, operated by LaMia, which crashed in Colombia at 21:58 local time on the 28th of November 2016, killing 71 of 77 people on board. The aircraft was transporting the Brazilian Chapecoense football squad 22 players, 23 coaching and other staff, 2 guests and 21 journalists from Viru Viru International Airport in Bolivia to José María Córdova International Airport in Colombia. The team was scheduled to play the first leg of the 2016 Copa Sudamericana Finals in Medellin against Colombian team. One of the 4 crew members, 3 of the players, and 2 other passengers survived. The causes for the crash, according to the preliminary report, were insufficient flight planning. Not declaring an emergency when the fuel neared exhaustion caused the crash, and another aircraft emergency at Medellin being given priority to land by air traffic control. Aircraft and operator. The aircraft was an Avro RJ85, registration CP 2933, serial number E.2348, which first flew on the 26th of March 1999. After service with other airlines and a period in storage between 2010 and 2013, it was acquired by LaMia, a Venezuelan-owned airline operating out of Bolivia. Flight and crash. The aircraft was carrying 73 passengers and 4 crew members on a flight from Viru Viru International Airport, in the Bolivian city of, to José María Córdova International Airport, serving Medellin in Colombia, and located in nearby Rio Negro. Among the passengers were members of the Brazilian Associação Chapecoense de Futebol who were traveling to play their away leg of the final for the 2016 Copa Sudamericana in Medellin against Atlético Nacional. Background and transit to Bolivia. The Brazilian National Aviation Authority denied Chapecoense's request to use LaMia's charter aircraft on a direct flight from São Paulo to Medellin. ANAC required the aircraft be operated by a Brazilian or Colombian airline in order for a direct flight to take place, citing freedoms of the air and bilateral traffic rights under the Chicago Convention on International Civil Aviation. The club opted to retain LaMia and arranged a commercial flight from São Paulo and transfer to LaMia at Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Bolivia. LaMia previously transported other teams for international competitions including Chapecoense and the Argentina national team. A BOA commercial flight transported the team and other members of the party from São Paulo at 14:22 Bolivian time and landing at Santa Cruz at 16:50 local time. Flight from Santa Cruz. The chartered RJ85 LaMia Flight 2933 departed Santa Cruz at 18:18 local time. A Chapecoense team member's request to have a video game retrieved from his luggage in the aircraft's cargo delayed departure. The original flight plan included an intermediate refueling stop at the Cobia Captain Aníbal Arab Airport, near Bolivia's border with Brazil. However, the flight's late departure meant the aircraft would not arrive at Cobia prior to the airport's closing time. An officer of Bolivia's at Santa Cruz de la Sierra reportedly rejected the crew's flight plan for a direct flight to Medellin several times despite pressure to approve it, because of the aircraft's range being almost the same as the flight distance. The flight plan was altered to include a refueling stop in Bogotá instead and was approved by another AASANA officer. The distance between Santa Cruz and Medellin airports is. A fuel stop in Colombia would have broken the flight into two segments, an initial segment of to Colombia followed by a flight to Medellin. A total of Bogotá's airport is from Santa Cruz Airport and from Medellín's. Under standard conditions, the RJ85 has a range of approximately with a payload of. Using the International Air Transport Association estimate for weight of passengers and luggage of per person, the aircraft's payload is estimated at, meaning a flight from Santa Cruz to Medellin would be at the limit of the aircraft's range. Shortly before 2200 local time on the 28th of November, the pilot of the LaMia aircraft reported an electrical failure and fuel exhaustion while flying in Colombian airspace between the municipalities of and. The RJ85 had begun its descent from its cruising altitude at 2130. Another aircraft had been diverted to Medellin from its planned route by its crew because of a suspected fuel leak. Medellin air traffic controllers gave the aircraft priority to land, and at 21:43 the LaMia RJ85's crew was instructed to enter a racetrack-shaped holding pattern at the Reinegro VHF omnidirectional range radio navigation beacon and wait with three other aircraft for its turn to land. The crew requested and were given authorization to hold at an area navigation waypoint named GEMLI, about south of the Reinegro. While waiting for the other aircraft to land, during the last 15 minutes of its flight, the RJ85 completed 2 laps of the holding pattern. This added approximately to its flight path. At 21:49, the crew requested priority for landing, because of unspecified problems with fuel, and were told to expect an approach clearance in approximately 7 minutes. Minutes later, at 21:52, they declared a fuel emergency and requested immediate descent clearance and vectors for approach. At 21:53, with the aircraft nearing the end of its second lap of the holding pattern, engines 3 and 4 flamed out due to fuel exhaustion. Engines 1 and 2 flamed out 2 minutes later, at which point the flight data recorder stopped operating. After the LaMia crew reported the RJ85's electrical and fuel problems, an air traffic controller radioed that the aircraft was from the Reinegro, but its altitude data were no longer being received. The crew replied that the aircraft was at an altitude of. The procedure for an aircraft approaching to land at José María Córdova International Airport states it must be at an altitude of at least when passing over the Reinegro. Air traffic control radar stopped detecting the aircraft at 21:55 local time as it descended among the mountains south of the airport. At 21:59 the aircraft hit the crest of a ridge on a mountain known as Cerro Gordo at an altitude of while flying in a northwesterly direction, with the wreckage of the rear of the aircraft on the southern side of the crest, and other wreckage coming to rest on the northern side of the crest adjacent to the Reinegro transmitter facility, which is in line with runway 01 at José María Córdova International Airport and about from the southern end. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.